Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for stopping by. And I'm going to go ahead and continue. Sorry. I wish I could get my crap together before starting. I'm still trying to figure this all out. So, coffee this morning is brought to you by McDonald's iced coffee. I was a little desperate and in a hurry, so sorry about it. Um, I mean, it's fine, right? McDonald's coffee is good. I had to doctor it up a little bit when I got home. So there you go. Good morning, and thank you for joining me. I'm excited to do another episode of my adoption series videos. This one's not going to be very long. And I just wanted to pop on and answer a couple of questions. I did not make a video last week. Things have been busy. You can often judge how busy my life is by this catch-all pile that's behind me. This room is my office and it's my home office and it's my hobby space and it's everything else, and it seems to be a catch-all for everything else that happens in my life. So yeah, it's been a kind of a weirdly busy couple of weeks, and also this week really marks a lot of those events in time. I guess we can call them anniversaries or whatever. I don't like to use that word. As far as deaths and different things that have happened in the past with regards to all of these people that I'm talking about. And I guess in some way I was kind of trying to honor that and spend time reflecting differently, if that makes sense. I'm not one to make big rituals or big deals out of the anniversaries of deaths and different kinds of things and the dates of funerals and all of that stuff. But they do come to mind, even though, no matter how many years have passed, that still happens and it goes into your mind. So yeah, sorry, this is starting off to be kind of confusing. I wanted to address the question that I'm getting a lot from people now, which is about what about your biological dad's side? And I'm here to explain a little bit about that today. And then we're just going to kind of put it to rest because it is still very much a work in progress. So if you haven't watched any of my other videos yet, I am an adopted kid. I did find my biological family in the last 2 years. 2 to 3 years is the time frame that we're looking at. And so I'm kind of on this journey to finish finding the rest of my biological family members, as many as I can that are interested. And I'm still on the search for others, which has been quite a journey. I'm really glad to share with other people my successes and my failures, and even the things that I think and feel about those events. And I hope to be able to help other people. I never had anyone that I could go to and say, hey, you're just like me and you were adopted and you found your family. How did you do this? What happened? And, you know, give me some tips and tricks. I never had anyone like that for myself. So that's why I was kind of making these videos, is to hopefully help somebody else or just have someone that someone can relate to in this process. So, and I think it's working. I really do think it's working and helping because I've had more than a few messages from people that have been interested and said, hey, this is where I'm at on my journey. What should I do next? Or even how should I get started? And I've been able to give some direction, a little bit of direction to some people. So far, I haven't had a whole lot of feedback back about how that's working out. So yeah, if you're out there again, please let me know. How's it going for you? I love to discuss these kinds of things. And there you go. So yeah, let's talk about dad. This is a bad week to be talking about dad, actually, because he passed on April 12th, April 11th. Now that's been way more than 20 years ago. Um, and it was bad. My adoptive father, his name, I I'm going to use his name because he's passed. His name was Jim, or he went by James. And he was a wonderful, wonderful person. I've talked about him in other videos and how our relationship was very close, and how some of the things he did to make me feel as an adopted child were very special and very different, even though maybe he didn't intend them to be that way. He did some things unintentionally, I guess is what I'm saying, that made me feel really good as a kid. So hang on. Just for as a kid. Oh yeah, we're good. Sorry. So yeah, he was a wonderful person, and he did a lot of great things. He was a wonderful man. He was very highly intelligent, and he was a wonderful family supporter, and he was a leader in his field of work. And he also was a pretty avid outdoorsman, although he didn't get to do that as much as he wanted to because he was so busy with work and things. He helped nurture that about me. I think I was born with a very outdoorsy, naturey kind of personality. And now I know that some of that is, I feel very strongly that that is inherited, because my biological family is also very naturey, very outdoorsy kinds of people. And he saw that in me, and he nurtured it, and he really enabled me to go to a lot of, age appropriate outdoorsy kinds of things and camps. And I went to every kind of camp there was as a kid. Learned to fish, learned to hunt, learned to ride horses, and all those different kinds of things. And that was all because of him. He supported me through those things. And those are the good memories I have of being a kid. My dad passed away. Like I say, I was only 21 when that occurred. I was younger. I was 19 or so when he started to get sick. He had a very aggressive brain tumor. He died of brain tumors, and ironically, which is also brain tumors on my biological side as well. There's so many different, I call them synchronicities. Things are the same on one side of the family as they are on the other. They happened nearly at the same time. So it's all kind of really scary if you start to map them out and think of them that way. Although I didn't know it at the time. So adoptive dad was very special and precious to me. Not to say that adoptive mom was not. She and I just had a different kind of relationship. It was maybe, for what it's worth, it was all good. She taught me a lot of things. She helped me with a lot of things. We related to each other in a very different way. And we made it what it was for many years. She's also passed on now. I would just very much call my relationship different with my adoptive mother than it was with my adoptive father. There you go. We're just going to be very honest about these kind of things. So I suppose that finding my biological dad, if I'm being very honest, is not as important to me as finding my biological mother. And I'll kind of try to explain those things in as few words as I can. Let me tell you that I'm also not sponsored in any way by my Ancestry DNA, the website that I keep talking about, but I did use it, and it did help me to find my biological family. So when you hear me bring it up, that's why. One of the most amazing things about using Ancestry DNA right now is that when you do the DNA test and you get your results back, the DNA comes back. And now, I don't know when they made this change, but I know it was quite recently. It does divide up the family that you're biologically related to: second cousins, third cousins, distant cousins, and so on. You get it back, and it is all separated, parent one and parent two. And if you figure out just one of those, then you know who's on one side and who's on the other, right? I don't think that used to be the case. At least it wasn't when I very first started. So that's been very helpful for me to try to figure out and track down who's who, maternal side and paternal side as well. Now, the paternal side of my Ancestry DNA is a mess. I have found quite a lot of information from distant cousins and people that are on there. No one who is particularly close. I do have one second cousin that I just cannot get anything back from at all. I've reached out to this person on several different kinds of ways. She's a excuse me. She is a lady that is a little bit older than me, it would appear, and she like I say, has not replied or responded, and I can't find evidence of her online at certain places, which leads me to wonder if she's not passed away. Just a thought, just something that I'm having. But she is on my biological paternal side. Anyway, one of the things that I've also noticed is that there is a very common name. If I look back at my cousins and compare, who are the grandparents of these second cousins and the great grandparents of these third cousins, that's how it works. You can look, if you can find those people and plug them into the right spot, you know that you're on the right track. So one of the last names that keeps popping up over and over and over is Otto, Otto. And there was a man who would be, if I understand it right, he would be my biological great grandfather, and he had 2 wives and several children. Yeah. So of these children, those would be my all in the ancestry line. One of them would be a grandparent to me, but I don't know if it's one of the daughters or one of the sons who then had a child who would be biological dad. On everyone's family tree that I'm able to search, that branch of the family tree with all of those children of the Otto family, there is a lot of confusion. It's very confusing. You find people with that branch of the tree, and they've got somebody who is actually the second wife listed as a daughter, and so then it branches off, and it's even more convoluted and strange. There is a lot of missing children. Some of the children that are supposed to be listed under these grandparents are either not there at all on some people's family trees, or only some of them are listed. Now, some of them lived in the area. Some of them are buried in the same cemetery as where my biological mother's side is. And so I know that I feel very strongly. I'm never gonna say I know anything, because sometimes there are surprises that pop out. I feel very strongly that I'm on the right path with that. I just haven't quite figured out which of those children of that great grandparents would be my grandparents, one of my grandparents, my grandma or my grandpa. It's really frustrating to see their names, and sometimes there's pictures attached and everything. You see them, you look at them, and you're like, wow, one of these is definitely a great uncle, a great aunt, a grandmother, or a grandfather. You can't quite tack it down, to who that belongs to, and so that can become a pretty frustrating process, and it can be one of those things where it's like a rabbit hole. The further you get down it, the more you see, the more you find, the more you question yourself, and it can be really, really silly and frustrating. But let's back out of that for just a second. Another thing that I did is I took that family name of Otto and I compared it with my biological mother's side of the family, and I used the family names. Both of these family names are not common, but I plugged them into a search engine and I said, let's compare. Can you show me any paperwork that has the last name of Otto paired with the last name of my biological grandfather, mother's side, which is actually Doolittle? And so I started to search on that, and I found a very interesting article. This is something that you might be able to do. This is why it's important. And I think this is why people should do this, follow this path, do it, because it works really well. So using those two last names, Otto and the last name Doolittle, so biological grandparents, both sides, right? I got back actually a legal document from the Supreme Court of Idaho in 1971. Now, when you take these things into consideration, yeah, I wasn't born until February of 1973. However, that means, do the math, if you go back 9 months before, that was in May of 1972, and it would have been somebody that my mother was involved with maybe for a little while. 71, 72 seems to be around the right time range. So anyway, what I got, and it's on my phone. It's just a document that I've saved among many other things. Biological grandfather was the attorney for the plaintiff, and the plaintiff was Mr. Otto, who was seeking judgment against another person who was a farmer for personal injuries sustained by him when a haystack he was working on collapsed. And then he had some injuries. He broke his leg really badly, I think. And this document is quite long. And it goes on and on to talk about the farm and the accident and where everybody was and whoever, So I don't know, but it would appear that my biological grandfather was the attorney for this Mr. Otto, who would have been an adult with grown children. It doesn't say anything about his children in this document, but when I look him up, it's very interesting to me to try to find. So this document, I feel like if I really trace this document back, I could find a lot more information. I feel like it's a pretty important piece of my puzzle, and it's something that I could probably do when I'm ready. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second. The thing is that with my documents, right? Remember when we talked about my documents that sat on my mother's shelf for years and years, contained the information, everything I needed to know or everything that I had available from social services. One of the things that I received was this list of, it's a document that came from the adoption agency, background information on possible adoptive child that came from, sorry. Anyway, it comes from social services. All of this information was gathered from my biological mother, and it's called paternal history. So the father of this child, me, is at the time in his early 20s, with a height of 6'2", a weight of 175, medium build, dark eyes, dark hair, medium complexion, is 1/4 American Indian, is what it says, and 3/4 Caucasian, with no religious preference. And then it just goes on and on to talk about things like allergies, high school education, not motivated, above average skills at musical and performance, has performed with several musical groups and can play different instruments. Interests in music, that's it. Very shy and introverted, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is the information that I have on Dad. Unfortunately, this is not true. Okay, at least most of this is not true. So according to my DNA on the paternal side, there is 0 Native American ancestry on that side at all. And DNA doesn't lie. So I didn't inherit anything from a parent that was 1/4. That would give me another 1/8, which would have added in with my maternal side. I can see the complete DNA profile of the paternal side that I come from. There's no Native American Indian in there at all. So that leads me to the question, did my biological mother give this information falsely, on purpose? Did she lie? Did she make up somebody that she thought would be my biological father? Did she not know? Okay. Did she make it all up on purpose, or was it an accident, or was it somebody that she thought it wasn't, or something? Um, who was this dude? Okay. All I have is the information that social services gave, that was from her, and that's it. Okay, so I know that she was either mistaken or she lied, right? That's only the two possibilities that there are. She didn't know, or she made it all up, and I don't know which one of those things. Knowing what I know about her, um, I would almost say that maybe she was mistaken. Maybe she was mistaken about that. Okay, knowing what I know about her and the time frame and about family members and about myself, I would say there's a good chance that she was mistaken. I've given this a lot of thought. And the thing about biological fathers, too, is that they were just a donor. Okay. We hear that a lot in different discussions. Um, he may or may not have ever even known that this was a thing that happened. Okay. The biological mother side is much easier because this is someone that went through a pregnancy, 9-month pregnancy, and went through the labor and everything else and gave birth to a child. And that was very much a big a chunk, okay, a chunk of your life. Even if you don't know you're pregnant until halfway through, that's still several months of action and of course she's the one that went to social services and went through all these things that she needed to do to give me up for adoption. Biological father could have been unaware of the whole situation, um, or aware and didn't want to act or do anything about that. Either one of those are a possibility. Um, however, I've got, and this is going to be a little bit weird, I guess, probably in my heart, I have a feeling, a sense of rest, a sense of ease that it's not important. It's not as important as other things that I found and that I want to follow up on. And I don't know how to explain that other than I just don't feel a connection. I feel zero connection when I do different kinds of things like meditation. I do meditate on these kinds of things. I do journal on these kinds of things. I've done all kinds of things over the years to get myself into a mindset um, of relaxation and just working through this and finding out what I can find out and not be stressed about it and not be worried about it. Um, Anything that has to do with that paternal side has always just felt very unimportant. I don't know why that is. And um, I think that maybe at some point, if there ever is a chance that I can figure it out for sure, and there's something that I feel is going to be positive to come from it, I'll take that path when it comes to me. But right now, I've got so much other stuff to figure out on maternal, the maternal side, biomom side, that it's not something that I care about very much right now. Not that I don't care. It's just not urgent, if that makes any sense. So there we go. I've got people helping me now. Actually, I had a complete stranger, not really, I guess, a fourth cousin, I believe, reached out to me on Ancestry DNA and offered some assistance. Is a person that's really good at this. They can look at the different levels of DNA. Oh, sorry. And tell you even more about like how you're related to certain people just by looking at the DNA report. So, I mean, this is a smarty pants person that I got to keep in my pocket. I got to talk to this person some more and see if I can get some more assistance. Um, so, yeah, yes, but also I may or may not pursue that at this time, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, I hope everybody is doing good and has a good weekend. Everything has been fine around here. We just got through Easter. We actually had a couple days where the weather was super nice. It was like up to 64. Woohoo! That's a heat wave for here. And now it's snowing again. I had really, really, really hoped to have been in Boise by now. However, a lot of those plans have been very much thwarted because of the weather, because I was hoping to bring my camper over to Boise area and stay in it for a while, as a means of having a place to stay, not a hotel, because it can be very expensive. My camper was under 6 feet of snow for most of the winter, and it's still I couldn't get it out now if I wanted to. So that's still kind of on the back burner. But I do still plan to get over there I keep saying this spring, and you would think it would be spring now. It's not. The weather is just really holding me back this year. And maybe there's a reason for that. I feel like there's a reason for everything. So yeah, I haven't been able to get over to see my my bio family yet this year, and I really, really want to. So I'm hoping things get figured out. I almost said a bad word there pretty soon, because that would be nice. Anyway, that's all for today. I think that's all I want to go into about the paternal side. I will continue to encourage people to use some kind of DNA service with Ancestry. And like I said, I'm not affiliated or sponsored by them or anything. Ancestry.com is much better than it was. I started using it originally about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I started using Ancestry when it was just a website. They didn't have a DNA service back then, I'm quite sure. It was only searching records and archives. That's all you had to go off of. And of course, it wasn't very helpful for me at the time without the DNA element. I had nobody to search for. So 20 years ago, it was more difficult to use because it was a website. And at the time, they were very much more affiliate. Ancestry.com is affiliated with a church. I will put it that way. It was a church that I was not interested in being affiliated with. It's very common in my area, and I have nothing against that at all, but they did start to call me a lot. And I mean cold call. I would be in the shower and I would get a call from somebody in Ancestry wanting to know more about me and what did I want to know. And that was a big turnoff for me. I stopped using Ancestry for a little while. They don't do that anymore. They have a lot of stuff available that's really good tools. They have a lot of tree building kind of pages where you can build and you can put things in a bin now, so you can use them. Like if you pretend the people are cards, you can put all the cards in a bin, place the cards where they need to go later on. And that's kind of fun. And they also are doing a much better job, especially with the splitting of the parent 1 and parent 2. That's extremely helpful. That's something that I found amazing to use. It is really great to use. I would highly recommend it. And then, like I say, if you want to use other websites, what you're going to do is you're going to download your DNA report. That report looks like computer code to me. It makes no sense. It's several pages long, and it's just ABCF01010. And you couldn't tell me. I have no idea what any of that is about, but it's your DNA code, which you can then take in that format and upload to other DNA sites without having to pay for the spit in the tube test again. And you can still run your DNA through other websites and find if there's people on that website as well. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm glad to help you. And thank you for watching. Again, like I say, I'm really glad to have had people tell me that this is helpful or ask me more questions if they're wondering. And I sure do really appreciate it. So thanks for stopping by. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.